as long as we make the show. We can be the best or we can be the worst, so we can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words, but this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play, life in the bright lights with no shades. Letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, eyesight, winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, caught some drama and some bullshit they didn't like, and if they don't like the mood, then we're ready to fly. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. This is how we roll. This is how we do. It's not for everybody but the chosen few. And we pray, cause we know that they might not ever come back. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. We can ride high, we can ride low. We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best or we can be the worst, so we can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words, but this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today. Just a little over, what we here, 4 minutes into the waiting period. And I'm sorry. I am definitely sorry on the waiting period. Had to share the video out there, get it around. If you want to do that as well, you go ahead and share it around. Try to get a bunch of people in here. We are going to have some call-ins. We are going to have some chat reading situations. It's going to be very, very interesting on the situation here today. We're going to be speculating, because speculation is fun. Let's not get it confused here. I mean, we can talk about facts all day, but facts are just boring. Let's be honest about it. Facts are just boring. I mean, that is just the reality of the situation. Whereas speculation guessing, wondering, projecting, predicting. That stuff is fun. And that's something that I think a lot of people in this sport can't even handle questions about their future. I mean, it is so scary to look at this situation and in this sport that needs to grow, needs to expand, that needs to grow in more than one way, especially on the World Outlaw side, because they're in trouble. I mean, the cards have been played on the Kyle Larson side of the table, and those are some... He's got a really good hand. Now, I don't know what the World of Outlaws is planning to do. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but you know, we had Joe Von Schriltz on here, and he talked about the greatness of Carl Kinzer. The greatness of Carl Kinzer. The best dang crew chief of all time, possibly. Most people would say so. Stats-wise, there's no comparison. Even compared to the Paul Silvas of the industry. But what he said that made him great was that he knew everyone's hand. Nobody knew what he had going. Nobody knew what he had doing and putting together and how he was placing. But he knew what everybody else was doing. There was rumors. He knew about things. Now, based on some of the stuff that we have seen with the High Limit Sprint Car Series and some of their situations, it looks like their hands being shown a little bit. And the World Outlaws have been very quiet. Been very quiet. But is that a part of their plan? Are they taking a page out of that Craig Kinzer book? And Carl, that's it, Craig, sorry, most relevant Kinzer in the world today. But Carl Kinzer book. Are they taking a page out of that book and letting everyone else show their hands, let them know what everybody else is doing, let them know what High Limit is doing, and they got something they're ready to play that's going to take them all down? Maybe so. I saw Dirt Tracker talk about an alliance with potential UFC, but anyway, and that would be amazing. That once again, I've been saying, we just need, if one big conglomerate comes into this sport and sees the value like I see the value, and some of the people who believe in the sport sees the value, this stock is a penny stock right now. Okay, and with the right investment, we're going to $1, $2, $5, $10, $15. You know what I'm saying, my Nicola? This stock's really low. So if you get in right now and you produce and you put in, I think if a big conglomerate with the real money, actually sees the value in rising the stock of this sport, that maybe somebody like a UFC, I don't know. But we are going to start the live off today. We're going to look at about maybe doing an hour or so. We have this drink right here. And this drink is there's some little place down the street putting it on. And it's like a special deal, some Westernheim celebration. But it's Aroma Grot cold brew, brown sugar, cinnamon, in the sweet cold foam topped over our signature cold brew. So that's what we got right here. It's pretty good. Probably pour some into the old cup here. Of course, we got the I'm actually from Texas mug right here. We got a lot of stuff over at longlivethechaz.com. Check it out, especially these hats. The Flex Fit. I like Flex Fit. You ain't going to find no trash-ass products on longlivethechaz.com. All of the t-shirts are very, very high-quality materials. The hats are the Flex Fits, the premier versions. They may cost a little bit, but when somebody puts on something like the Chaz, when they put on some Chaz swag, I want them to feel the truth. I want them to feel the reality. I want them to feel different. And that is definitely what the Chaz is. Definitely what the Chaz is. So, we'll see the chat situation here. Do we have... Oh, we're blanked. Hold on. Maybe we got to fix it. Hold on. We got to fix the chat situation. Hold on. Live chat. Let's see here. Okay. Actually, we got to wait on that. It seems like there's something with the chat situation. But go ahead and put your comments as we continually go down the way here with the show today. And I'm thinking about maybe a noon everyday show. I don't know how long this background will be behind me. This is like a 1 of 4. Was actually given to me through some people at the racetrack who was a big supporter of the 01 Kyle Larson situation. So it's like a 1 of 4. This is actually on one of the barriers that, keeps the cars in there at Chili Bow and protects fans from, running over and gobbling down Larson's, because they just want him so bad. It's so disgusting. And of course, yes, there's no debate. He did step on his stick the other day at Lernerville. A lot of people said, oh, he didn't step on it. He followed a lap car and lost air. Everybody knows about dirty air, especially the greatest of all time, apparently. So he put his car there. He stepped on it entering the corner. Yes, the result of going over the cushion and flipping was a result of loss of air, of being behind a lap car. But who followed the lap car to lose that air? I think it was Kyle. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about this Lucas Oil Championship situation. Now, tonight is the final night, and they are doing a chase. This Lucas Oil deal, I mean, there's people for it, there's people against it. It is the chase for the championship, and they are locking in 4 drivers and heading to Eldora at the end of the month. Now, tonight it's the final night, the Pittsburgher, I believe they're calling it, some racetrack over there that no one's heard about. It's a big half mile. I've heard about it before. I'm just kidding. And the top 4 in points after tonight will be locked in. Points will be reset, and they will go to Eldora to battle for the championship. I've already said this, but some people are looking at this point situation and thinking that there's no potential way for this top 4 to change. Ricky Thornton Jr., definitely not going to change. Hudson O'Neal, definitely not going to change. Jonathan Davenport, not going to change. This 4th and final spot, though, is the one up for grabs, kind of. Overton, Moran, McCready, separated by a decent margin here. You see the difference between Overton and Moran is 15 points. Now, if we were talking about the World Outlaw Sprint Car Series or World Outlaw point system, that would be very hard. You would have to beat them by a lot of positions to make up 15 points. Tim McCready also back there, another 20. So 35 points behind is Tim McCready. Outside this battle, Dalton Wilson and Tyler Erb, I think your season and chances to get into this top 4, they are over. But to get into this top 4, I believe it is obtainable for Devin Moran and McCready. Now, once again, this is not like the Sprint Car Series. Brad Sweet's already going to win the championship right off into the sunset, take all the officials, take all the drivers, and everyone with them as they go and destroy the legacy of the World Outlaw Sprint Car Series. And that's fine. That's great. This is capitalism. We needed that in the Sprint Car Series world. Series have been an issue in the late model world, however. It's been all about big events. It's been about putting on World 100s and XR big money events once again. And series championships haven't really mattered that much in the late model world because of that situation with the big money events that occur, the marquee, the crown jewels. There's so many of them, so much that people want to win a crown jewel more so than a Lucas Oil or World Outlaw late model series championship. You can see that as good or bad. Is that potentially about to be the situation in the sprint car world? Because we've had a championship that everybody sought after for decades. And now it's going to be split up, and now as events and everything, is the sprint car world about to revert to how the late model world operates? And the reason I say this is the reason this chase is even a thing, the reason we're even talking about this is because championships just have seemed to not matter in the late model industry. So in a interesting way, they upped the ante. I believe it's $200,000 to win this Lucas Oil championship, a bunch of mini series throughout the year. I believe it was originally locking in the top 16, then it dropped down to top 12, then top 8, and now we are going into this Final 4 situation. So even though you may like it or may not like it, I mean, it would be sad, and I've been saying it, if Ricky Thornton Jr., who one of the most dominated drivers this year, does not win the championship. Say Jonathan Davenport, who's, I guess, behind the scenes with him and Scott Bloomquist accusing Ricky Thornton Jr. of being a cheater. And people are like, well, Jonathan Davenport and Scott Bloomquist, they should be accusing him as a cheater. He failed the droop rule at freaking Lucas Oil on a rough racetrack. He is a cheater. He's already failed tech. Oh, well, you people are definitely not watching racing much. I'll tell you that. But regardless, it would be sad if Ricky Thornton Jr. does not win the Lucas Oil Late Model Championship. It might be halfway worse if Jonathan Davenport accusing Ricky Thornton Jr. through the ways or words of Scott Bloomquist as a cheater. I guess that's kind of what a bunch of people kind of thought was going on there, saying he's a horrible driver and all this stuff, or can't drive. Not a horrible driver, but, like a Tim Tebow talent, not a Tom Brady, but just good enough to get in the league. And in racing, we got cars that can make you perform better on the field than your actual ability. But this is something worth talking about, because these final spots and this championship is going to be very interesting. I don't know how many races I'm going to be attending for the rest of the year or going into the future. I'm not going to be sucking anyone's dick to get into the racetrack. And definitely not halfway need to have it sucked my way to go to the race. But anyway, I think this has added another level to the discussion. And I do think that this Eldora Final Four 3-day race, the Dirt Track World Championship, is going to be worth attending, watching. Maybe I'll just stay here and kind of we'll do lives every night and update as we go. That may be a little bit more efficient. Another reason I don't think I'm going to be going to many races in the future. More efficient ways of doing things here on the Chaz for the viewing audience, for what I got going on. But anyway, we look at this point system, and that's where this is a little bit different than the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, because once again, 15 points to Moran, from Overton to Moran, and then 35 points from Moran to McCready. And this is the point structure that I could find. I was trying to find how points are earned and everything like that, earning points. Every driver receives 50 points for showing up, participation points, as long as they pay an entry fee and compete in at least time trials, heat races, or a B main. Overall fast qualifier from both Group A and Group B receive 10 points for setting fast time per an event. The B main points are, as you see here, if somebody doesn't transfer. And then we get into the A main, and this is the point structure here. So we just tapped on how Devin Moran needs 15 to pass Brandon Overton. And when you look at this point structure, I mean, this is very obtainable. There's a 125-point swing from first to 21st. So if Brandon Overton, let's see, is that 125 points tonight? I was just going to see, is Jonathan Davenport out of the front? Yeah, he should be good. Jonathan Davenport, he's enough ahead. He's good. But there's a 125-point swing in this Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series points standing. So 20 points first and second, and then it drops to a 10-point gap from second to third. And then it looks like it breaks down into 5-point gaps starting from fifth on back. Fourth to fifth is a 5-point difference. And then all the way back, it seems to be a 5-point gap. So, for instance, if Devin Moran comes out tonight and runs second, and Brandon Overton runs fifth, I mean, look at that. That's 10, 25-point swing. He's in the show. A 25-point swing here, guys. Now, what's interesting is, say a Tim McCready wins, and he's got a 20-point gap over the field. He's 35. Say he wins, and Devin Moran finishes fourth, and Overton finishes seventh. He's in now. So these points are very close, even though, we're used to the World of Outlaw kind of standing. At least I am, paying attention to the sprint cars and the late models. This gap right here between Overton, Moran, and McCready is not over. It's a 35-point swing. And you can make up 35 points in 3 spots in a lot of these segments, especially if you finish within that top 3. If you finish within that top 3, you're guaranteeing yourself making up 10 positions. Now, say Devin Moran finishes 3rd and Brandon Overton finishes 5th. I believe, based on my simple Redneck-O-Matics chart here, that would be a tie between Overton and Moran. And then how are you going to settle that? How are you going to settle that? And 35 points are very easy to be made up. If Tim McCready goes 2nd and Moran, once again, same scenario. So it's very important that Overton beats Moran by 2 or more spots, especially if we are considering the top 5 positions on the track. I mean, if Brandon Overton finishes 2nd and Devin Moran wins, Moran's into the show. He's into the top 4. So if Devin Moran wins tonight, he's in. Depending on this fast qualifier, these 10 points in this fast qualifier in the groups is going to play a factor. That 10 points could definitely benefit a Tim McCready who's sitting 35 behind right now. If he could get to 25 before getting to this A main, that's huge. And if Brandon Overton could somehow go out there and hit a hot lap, that's huge for him as well to get 25 above Moran and 45 above McCready before we get into this A main event. In that scenario, if Overton was able to win or set fast time and then finish 2nd to Moran in the main event, he would still obtain that 4th position merely by that 10 points that he would make in the fast qualifier. So this is interesting. This may be the show. I know everybody's going to watch the double features tonight with the World of Outlaws sprint cars at Williams Grove. Let's all give a prayer for Devin Borden, and hopefully he can sustain tonight. Hopefully the pitting area with a 23 wasn't like the videos I saw the other week. He made a huge mistake in the B-main. I can only imagine how that went. But this right here is worth your attention, dirt racing fans. If you're a sprint car fan and you're gonna watch NASCAR Sunday, you should be giving your attention to this tonight. Because this is huge. And there's 3 guys to pay attention to. And it starts right at qualifying. And that is Overton, Moran, and McCready. Because this is a very close battle on the racetrack. Now, there was other things that occurred in the late model world. They are having these Lucas Oil races in the Ohio, Pittsburgh area. But the World of Outlaw late model series is over in Atomic. So they're actually pretty close to one another. I mean, it's not super close, but it's definitely within a day's drive of, not a half a day's drive of one another. And last night, obviously, Bobby Pierce just dominating the Outlaw Late Model Championship. They don't have any kind of chase. They didn't up their game or anything like that with the World of Outlaw Late Model Series. Some people went over to the World of Outlaw Late Model Series because they didn't have the chase style championship. It wasn't an overall accepted format to determine a champion of a series. So a bunch of people were over here. And even though the A-Main was kind of uneventful, you did have a crazy situation where it seemed like Bobby Pierce just wanted to destroy Brian Shirley. There was one incident, I wonder if it's in here. I wanted to cover this one, but I really don't know what Bobby Pierce was doing right here. Can somebody tell me? I believe this is the replay. Bobby Pierce and this is the second time they got together. Prior to this incident you see here that I'm about to show you, there was an incident between Pierce and Shirley where they got into it. It was kind of seemed to be on Pierce, but Shirley kept spinning the tires. He got to blend back in. That caused this caution, and this is the restart on the following caution that came out. And Pierce just, I don't know, maybe a little contact right there. I mean, Shirley did follow him. I mean, you gotta be conscious. I mean, you see it right here. If you're Shirley, you think you're good, but Pierce does drive the cars in hard. You know, you got to know who you're racing, and his cars do sometimes push up the track, especially when they're entering in the middle. But if you're Shirley here, you're thinking you're good. You're thinking Pierce is going to drive to the inside, and you're just going to ride in this line. Might have been a little smarter to enter up a little higher, and Pierce pushes. I mean, the car is going up the track, contact is made, and then just unbelievable. He goes around, causes another caution. Brent Larson gets into it. Larson ended up, I believe, finishing 5th. But he was definitely not too happy. Let's just say that. But that was not the roughest situation of the night. There was a heated battle, a great battle, between Cade Dillard and Tanner English all night. Dillard in the 97, Tanner English in the white 96. The blue car versus the red car. Democrats and Republicans right here for you. And Tanner English had been getting his nose drove across. I mean, a few laps ago, I believe Dillard drove the nose across English. Not as aggressive as we are about to see, but English shot her in there. And sometimes with these big, giant-ass cars, and there's freaking suspension that creates so much mechanical grip, when you shoot these damn cars in there, sometimes you don't clear them. And he did not clear them. This was a straight-up bonsai, and maybe he thought Dillard was going to go high. I'm not sure. At the lap before, Dillard was a little bit higher, a little bit slower on the entry. But the judgment was not right there. This is coming to the 2 to go symbol, I believe. And Cade Dillard came right back and said, oh, hell no. We're about to send you over the edge Louisiana style. He put some hot sauce on his ass off the track. Look at that. I mean, Cade Dillard said, no. I will show you how we handle this in the bayou. Nicola, watch this. You want to do all that to me? Oh, no. And the car didn't push, and it pushed. He could have got out of it. I mean, he hit him right there. He could have just stayed low. But watch that nose swing. Nope. Push. Nope. Off you go. And that's unfortunate. Tanner English is a pretty damn clean driver. I really don't know what happened here. Tanner English, though, is an extremely great driver in a super late model, and he usually doesn't make mistakes like this. I hope for Tanner's credibility that this was a mistake, but it looks pretty intentional, does it not, guys? I mean, where did you see you were going to clear that? I mean, he starts shooting the gap right there, so he's committed right there. The car just started to launch. He already sees Cade Dillard going. Now, this is a split-second decision. Once you committed to going, you're going. But Cade Dillard did not go up the racetrack at all. You know it's happening right here. He knows we're making contact. Although, could Cade Dillard have gave him some room? Could Cade Dillard saw him right here and said, oh, there's a car there. Let me give him a lane? I mean, he kind of gave him a lane. It's close. Bobby Pierce is back there like, hell, I do this every week. Just get him back. You know, Bobby Pierce is like normal racing as him and Brent Larson go by, but Cade Dillard did not let that go. He went right up into him and then sent him off the damn track. That was worse than Larson going off the track. At least he had assistance. Larson did it all on his own. And then, of course, Mike Marlar won it. So the late model situation, ladies and gentlemen, is very, very interesting. I am kind of halfway curious as to what y'all think. Let's see here. We do have a few comments. Not a fan of the chase, Dirt Dauber Video says. Format for dirt track racing. If RTJ doesn't win, it is a travesty. I would have to agree. We got some Outlaw comments, and I guess we could get into the Outlaw situation if that's where y'all want us to go. Now, there is a lot of things happening around the High Limit Sprint Car Series. And I don't know what to say, but this is one of the most impactful posts that I have seen in sprint car racing. I don't really know Mike Hess. I know the racer Mike Hess. I'm a big fan of the older school racers that worked hard to get where they are. Of course, in this new racing world, it's all nepotism, monarchy, and that's the only way you advance. But Mike Hess, long-time series. This is the guy. Honestly, Mike Hess was doing the actual. He was the closest thing to me as an in-person promoter of the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series. This guy ran the show. Brian Carter wasn't always at the tracks. Most of the time isn't. When we talked to Donnie Schatz, he said Ted Johnson, the guy who founded and built the World of Outlaws to the thing it is today, is like the founding father of this World of Outlaw thing. He said he was used to seeing Ted at the tracks every single week, making sure guys were taken care of, doing the things that promoters are in person. And I believe that Mike Hess, to a lot of these racers, was the closest thing to what a Ted Johnson was. He was there every week. He was in their ears, interaction. So this was a big deal that happened, 2 days ago. And apparently it spurred, according to Dirt Tracker and Jeremy Elliott and all these people, it spurred because Mike Hess was actually at Lernerville doing race director duties. And with all this stuff happening right now between High Limit and the World Outlaws and the potential all-star merger and the next year that looks to be High Limit coming straight at the World Outlaws, because I told you, World Outlaws. I said you should have played nice. You should have played nice last year when they wanted to go race these 12. You should have gave them every single damn race, because now here comes the hornet's nest. Because here it comes. But it's okay. Sometimes people think they're bigger than they actually are. But anyway, when this dropped a few days ago, Mike Hess put on Twitter that he'd like to thank everyone that has reached out or posted on social. Today, I am truly humbled and blown away by the support shown to me today. It means more than I could ever tell each and every one of you. I respect the hell out of all the drivers that have ever been on a track that I'm on the radio at. All you drivers are the show, and I'm honored to have been able to call. The races that I have been a part of to this point, when asked what I like about my job, my answer is always the people I've met across the country. Truly have met some of the best and most genuine people from all over. Those people keep us travelers happy to see them at the next stop. Passion for racing is my core, and life is too short to give all the time of your life away. Miss time with my kids, miss family events, and not be valued for the time and work that is done. Hey, I relate to that. My gosh. People don't appreciate the sacrifices that are made to be able to get into this sport, and especially in the extreme example of how hard Mike Hess has put into it. The race teams become family as we see each other more than our own families. I'm not sure what the future holds at this point, but hope to land somewhere in the race car world. Many thanks and gratitude to everyone, even the haters. Hope to see everyone down the road somewhere. Now, speculation, as I started this off with, is fun. Speculation points to this guy who is like one of the guys. Points to him making a shift over to High Limit. Now, that's big. That's a big threat. Big threat, because this is guys like this. Not Brad Sweet can maybe move a guy or two from the Outlaws over. But when you got this guy potentially going with the guy, and you ever seen, you all have seen Days of Thunder, because you're all psychologically manipulated for 30 fucking years. But have you ever seen Days of Thunder where he's in the hospital, he's like, I can't see him, but he talks to me. This guy talks to me. That's who Mike Hess is for. These World Outlaw he is the Harry. He is Harry of the situation, and now he has teamed up with Cole. At least it looks like he's teaming up with Cole, the modern Cole Trickle, known as Kyle Larson, sprint car driver from California, who goes to NASCAR and races Rowdy Bush. My God, I can't believe y'all can't see what the elites are doing to y'all people. But anyway, this is scary, and the scarier part. And this is why in the thumbnail of this video, I said the end is near. Who will save them? And I'm talking about who's going to save the Outlaws. I hope that they're just holding the hand. I hope they're just looking at everyone else put the hand. But this Dale Jr. effect, and I made sure to pause it on this smoky scene where he has the one eye closed, because we all know what's actually happening and who's doing things here. when Dale Earnhardt Jr., and this is a recap of them going to Lernerville. And I mentioned this earlier in the year. When you go look at Sprint Car Series results, if you just type it in, I'm not doing it again because I did it then. The High Limit Sprint Car Series is owning the sprint car headlines. This unknown thing. This is a unknown thing. Sprint car racing, dirt track racing. More people believe, there's an average of 12 million. More people in America believe in aliens and ghosts. 12 million, like, are real 100%, even though we've seen video of them all this year and all this stuff. Aliens and ghosts and angels are real, then, well, not even angels, way more people. Then sprint cars are real. That's what I'm trying to make the point here, is like, sprint cars are so, dirt racing is so out of this world, literally, for a lot of people. So the first person to truly introduce this sport, and this is why I was talking about the stock earlier, the first person to actually introduce this sport to the regular world, the actual people, they're going to be the ones that have, if they invest in the penny stock that this sport is right now, when it goes up, it becomes relevant. It is one of the most exciting forms of motorsports. It is going to take fire. If people get exposed to this, it's going to take off. But the people who do it, they're going to be rewarded. They are going to be rewarded. And they're going to be rewarded as most people want to be rewarded with, and that is money and power. And it is going to take off. Now, Dale Jr. has now all of a sudden took the High Limit Sprint Car Series. And even in, I believe in this review video, he still mentions the World of Outlaws. And he's talked about the World of Outlaws on occasion. And I do not believe Dale Jr. is one of these people who just is, even though he is, you know, a great example of nepotism, monarchy, and being successful in motorsports, I do think that he not necessarily sympathizes, but empathizes with the state of motorsports today. And he does believe and talks highly of other forms of motorsports and their stars. He doesn't just sit there and say NASCAR drivers are the greatest in the country and they're there because they're the majors and everything else is minor league. He doesn't really say that. And it's a pretty respectful opinion from Dale Earnhardt Jr. I kind of, not going to say like the guy, because once again, the nepotism monarchy that is nepotism monarchy battles merit all the time, and I'm a merit guy. But he is in a position, he's in a powerful position, and his voice does carry waves. And I do appreciate the opinion of Dale Jr., recognizing and projecting high-level ability and skill in other forms of motorsports. I've never heard Dale Jr. express how dirt racing is minor league and only the best go to majors and this other leveling system that you've heard other voices on here talk about. My angle on this is far and beyond what people just think a visit to the Lernerville Speedway for a sprint car race. Obviously, Wyatt Miller, a little kid in here that races, I believe, micros or something, went with Dale Jr. Some nepotism monarchy situation, I'm assuming, once again. And the kid wants to be a sprint car driver. According to some fans of mine from who were at the Miami Formula One race and was around Vin Diesel when he was talking to some of the F1 drivers, as the F1 drivers were trying to get his kid into F1 later down the road, the actor Vin Diesel. Apparently, Vin Diesel told these F1 drivers that his kid wants to be a sprint car driver. So sprint car driving is in the ears of the youth of America right now. And do we, congratulate Kyle Larson for that? Potentially. I mean, there really isn't another person to point towards. You sure ain't going to point to Brian Carter as to pushing the sprint car racing to the youth of America. I mean, how could you do that? So it is probably, more than likely, Kyle Larson that has led this surge. We can maybe thank Jeff Gordon because he's why Kyle Larson even exists. But this thing has potential. This is a penny stock that could soon become $1. And I think Dale Jr. knows this. And I also think one of the reasons he doesn't ego stroke NASCAR and their drivers and talent being the best of the best is the same reason that he has a series as well. because he has the Cars Tour now, which is in my opinion, the closest asphalt circle track series that could potentially be represented as dirt racing. Because, I mean, the nepotism, the money it takes to get to the Cup Series is just unbelievable. Same thing with all of our stars in the sprint car racing world. So, in saying that, there are a ton of drivers in the sprint car racing world that could go to NASCAR and just wax their ass. In late model racing world, dirt late models it is, that could go to NASCAR and wax their ass. Those NASCAR boys are only there because they're paper champions. They were bought to the roster. Even somebody on Kyle Larson's level was invested millions of dollars by rich people to get him to where he is. If that money don't come, he don't go any. He's racing California, or he's a David Gravel too. Racing World Outlaw sprint cars full time. If that money doesn't come at that right age, at that right time. Now, obviously, Drive for Diversity helped Kyle a lot, but money still had to be put into him for him to get to where he's at. So all those people up on that Cup Series in this NASCAR level, and even the F1 level, that's above NASCAR as far as the money's concerned. They're all up there because they're bought and paid for to be there. Or the nepotism, or the monarchy, knowing a family or knowing a friend. Or Elliott's, or Kyle Busch has already set the lane up for his kid to go to NASCAR, and it's happening. It's going to happen whether you like it or not, because he has the nepotism, monarchy, and money to accomplish that road. And that's all it takes. But my bigger point here with the Cars Tour is that Cars Tour is kind of right there where that short track dirt level, where that late model sprint car level is at. Because there's a lot of short track asphalt drivers who ain't dirt fans, who grew up across this country, up there in the Northeast, down there in the South, that are some of the best damn drivers of circle track asphalt cars, and they just didn't have the money to go to NASCAR. But they might have the money for a pro late model or a super late model. Of course, Cars is the super. I believe there's multiple divisions. I'm not a big asphalt, enthusiast. But you could make an argument that the Cars Tour roster is a deeper, harder field, a more competitive field, has more merit than the NASCAR Cup Series because of that money factor that separates the talent. We know that NASCAR Cup Series roster is bought and paid for talent. They're paper champions. Now, it takes a little money to run the super late model gig, and you can get your way up there to the front like Quapple with mechanical engineering. I don't know if the Quapple guy's even all that good, but it's almost like an ARCA situation where there's about 5 or 6 cars that are super badass, and then there's a bunch of guys who they're running 10th because that's all their pocketbook can afford because of the mechanical grip that they're able to obtain on these asphalt tracks that never change. This instance where they're talking on stage, I love that Brad Sweet brought that up on how the changing of dirt is why you cannot engineer speed like you can on asphalt and separate cars based on the actual car itself. So there is still that situation on the asphalt short track scene, but I do believe the closest thing to the pinnacle level of competition right now is the Cars Tour. And I thought it was very, very, extremely interesting on how they got onto the subject here on this stage that, Kyle and Sweet would love to bring sprint cars to the South. There's, to Charlotte. Gaffney's going to have their big prelude to the finals. They're bringing sprint cars down there. They only had 7 cars last time. Horrible sprint car count. Maybe with this new high limit and all this stuff where people are racing, they'll have more than 7 cars. I believe Brent Marks won it a few years ago. I believe that was 21 when it last happened. I don't think they did it last year. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. They definitely didn't have sprint cars, I don't believe. But they mentioned how, Brad Sweet said, maybe y'all can help us get down there. Maybe Dale Jr., you can help us team up with a track or go to Tazewell. Larson dropped Tazewell, which, oh my God, would be an amazing race. I don't think sprint cars have ever been there. He mentioned Volunteer, how they get big crowds for late models, but sprint cars used to go there. I'm not sure if they had much of a crowd. I remember when we talked to Dwayne with the Southern All-Star Series, how the Outlaws used to go down there a lot. Used to be regular sprint car races. The Talladega short track race at the beginning of the year was just freaking amazing. Magnolia was awesome. I think that you could potentially, if you were the Outlaws, you would start your series down there in the Southeast to start the year instead of trying to go to PA or the West Coast if you want to abandon those two ideas. But they're trying to hit money pots in PA. That's all they're trying to do. They're worried about the money pot. They're not worried about the growth and expansion of the series, which is why I believe Kyle Larson is the reason that sprint car racing is what little kids want to do. They're concerned about the expansion of the sport. So I do like this aspect with Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson. My addition to this idea of Dale Jr. helping Kyle and Brad get into the South is potential Tando events, kind of how the like you got this weekend where the World Outlaw Late or Southern All-Star Series, I believe, is at Talladega Short Track, while NASCAR is at the big track at Talladega. Is there potentiality to where we see Cars Tour and High Limit Sprint Car Series Tando weekends together, to where you have a big asphalt short track race and the High Limit Sprint Car Series events somewhat working together in some form of fashion? Now, obviously, Cars Tour short track asphalt's usually on night races, but you could potentially, way easier at least, to have these races during the day. It could be an issue where there's an asphalt track and a dirt track not close enough. Or could they put dirt tires on the cars on the super late models, which is, I mean, I don't know. Mechanical grip would be thrown out the window. Obviously, everybody's trying to go on dirt. I think it's a dumb idea. I wouldn't want to see that. But could there be some Tando races with the Cars Tour and the High Limit Sprint Car Series in that southeastern area of the United States to introduce sprint car racing not only to the dirt fans that we know that are down there, but also the short track asphalt fans? So you could see Kyle Larson run a Cars Tour race, which he did, by the way, and back to the strength of their field, he ran like 8th or mid-pack or something. Kyle Larson, guys. Kyle Larson ran like mid-pack against the Cars Tour. That's not because his car was off. That's because there's some badass drivers over there in that field. But you could see Kyle Larson run a Cars Tour race during the day, and then that night run a sprint car race somewhere with the High Limit Series. That could be a potential Tando that would be very, very interesting. So, lots of ways to look at this. There's always the business angle. There's always the cards under the table. I know I was talking about what's the Outlaws got going on to try to combat what the High Limit Series apparently has going on. Could the High Limit Series have something, a card that ain't flipped over yet? Could they? And what cards are the Outlaws holding? And that, honestly, is the bigger question here. Who will, the end looks near. Who is going to save the world of Outlaws? I mean, my phone is right here if somebody thinks I can do it. If somebody thinks I can come in there and bring some real I mean, is the Chaz going to save the, I mean, could we? Could the age of, could the Chaz come into the Outlook? Could I, if Kyle Larson is Superman, could I come in there and be the Batman? Oh, because, I mean, I would use social. I mean, if I was the Outlaws, I'd be just going at them every day. Oh, I'd be on YouTube. I've had that talking face they got in there at Dirt Vision just going after High Limit. Y'all are all worried about saying each other's name and blah, blah, blah. I'd be getting defamation letters in the mail every day, cease and desists. We would be putting on it. It would be WCW versus WWF. That's, in a weird way, you could use this to promote your damn series and you ain't even doing it. Who was the biggest promoter of Donald Trump in 2016? Let me introduce to you Hillary Clinton. Who is the biggest promoter of Clinton? Trump. Who is the biggest promoter of Stone Cold? Triple H. Who's the biggest promoter of it's always based on combatants. Who's the biggest promoter of Fox? CNN. Who's the biggest promoter of CNN? Fox, because they're both talking shit to one another. This is how things work. And even in a weird damn way, recently, the biggest promoter of Ricky Thornton Jr. was Scott Bloomquist. I mean, maybe they were on the 3D chess level like I am all the time. The biggest promoter of Scott Bloomquist, or of Ricky Thornton Jr., was Scott Bloomquist. And then if you're wondering how I got into a position to get this thing behind me, who's been the biggest promoter of Kyle Larson socially the last couple years? I'm just saying. To the point, I've actually gotten under his skin a few times. Even Kevin Rumley told me that when he won at Prairie Dirt Classic, he's like, how you like this shit, Chaz? On their way to the damn bank. Freaking assholes. But anyway, I think you're losing opportunity here to start firing back. Go. This is a game. Go. And then if they're too big to respond, okay. They're too big to respond. They're on their plateau. But everything is based on promotion right now. Deion Sanders is the number one coach and the number one reason people are watching college football with the Colorado Buffaloes. I mean, boxing is taken over by Jake Paul and freaking Francis Ngannou right now, and Tyson Fury, because they're all just talking and running, and the people who ain't running their mouth and talking ain't going nowhere. They're being left behind because they ain't understanding the entertainment element that they are within. But some people are. Some people are. Now, there's soft foot entertainment, but you can only be good in soft-footed entertainment when you're in the lead. Until you get to the damn lead, you got to be aggressive to get out front. And right now, World of Outlaws, I'm sorry to tell you, maybe nobody has just yet, but you are being left behind. Right now, you're getting your ass whooped on the promotional racetrack of sprint car racing in this world. You're getting your ass whooped. You can have your little races for $70,000 to win, and have your little. You're literally going to open your banquet and celebrate the man who's going to take you down in Brad Sweet, because he's pretty much the champion. You got Lucas Oil doing the championship stuff, right? Adding some flair to their championship, not listening to traditionalists that are going to bury you in the past and not doing things that are going to expand you in the future. Traditionalist values usually leave you behind. Usually. Back to ego and feeling this way and grudges. Grudge yourself behind. I mean, once again, you're behind. You got to start making some moves to get out front. And there's a lot of moves on the other side, or that leader up there is making some moves. They ain't talking crap. High Limit and Dale Jr. ain't got to talk crap. They're just doing it. Brad Sweet, they're just doing it. While y'all are just slowly taking the hits, publicly taking the hits. They took your race director. They took it all. And they're coming. Well, they ain't took it all, but they're coming for you. And they've been coming for a year. 8 more races could have maybe potentially saved this from happening. Maybe. But we'll never know. The ego won last year. Now the ego is either going to get crushed and left behind, or it's going to rise up and say something about it. Welcome to my role. Anyways, we'll take a brief look at the chat. If there is anything in the chat, we are coming up on the hour. Let's spin it around here to the chatty chat. If you got any chat things to say, go ahead and roll them in. I went to the High Limit show, best race I remember, Eddie says. Justin Sanders spinning, leading the heat race, and still winning. It was insane. I lost my voice. That's pretty cool. The Outlaws have operated a monopoly, and some real competition is going to be good for the sport as a whole. Look at the late model purses after XR showed up. I honestly believe XR spurred all of this. All of this right now is because, and I've worked with XR and walked out on some XR stuff. I mean, not walked out literally, but had disagreements with some of the stuff that they've done or some of the stuff that I had done with them. And I think we have to give credit in a weird way to Barry Braun and the XR organization. XR, I believe, came in with a streaming concept, which is what the name of the game is now. And they also came in with big money and threw a damn bowling ball down these two organizations with Lucas Oil and World of Outlaws. And that bowling ball had a bunch of money attached to it, and the pins came running. Now, when this all happened with the streaming concept, you had Flo, Michael Rigsby. This all happened because of the late model world, right? Rigsby and Braun have a little friendly rivalry, I guess you want to call it, competition for a year. The whole sprint car series world sees the money rack up because of the XR Super Series and the Flow Series. And the racking up of all the $1 million races and all this stuff that they had going on. And then, what happened? Sprint car people got jealous. The egos. We should be running for that much. Oh, we could do that. Kyle Larson said it himself. We could be doing what Flo and them are doing. Midweek? Oh, yeah. Who spurred midweeks? XR and Flo. So I believe XR is responsible for this entire situation at hand right now. Good, bad, or indifferent? I think it's good. The Outlaws got too comfortable, I believe, on their monopoly that they have. I think Outlaws are in the crosshairs of High Limit All-Star Circuit of Champions for 2024. It doesn't take a genius to put 2 and 2 together to see what is going on. Now, I'm interested to see if that Cars High Limit Dale Jr. Kyle Larson thing comes together. And like I said, last year, they didn't give that the High Limit people or their drivers whatever they wanted. That, look out, Kyle goes and makes a phone call to Hendrick or a phone call to freaking Penske or any of these rich, very successful, able to reach more people than you can't even think about people, and they want to do something with Kyle. You are fucked. You are, and now it looks like it's coming. It looks like it's coming. You should have gave him all 12. A hammer, hand over fisted. You should be able to do that. JJ says, you got my number, Chaz, if you decide on Charlotte. I don't know if I'm going to go to Charlotte. I think so. I don't know. It is a November race. I want to go to Australia, but I can't figure it out. That's just a very expensive plane ticket. Did Hunt the Front Series kill the Southern All-Stars? Yes. I mean, obviously, Southern All-Stars are doing relatively well. Hunt the Front, it's coming in with that glamour, with that spaz, with that reach, with that attention. You know, and that is what sells now. Brick and mortar stores are being replaced by Amazon, guys. Walmart is dying compared to how the market works now. Walmart's dying. The biggest damn thing we ever seen grow, in person at least, Walmart, it's dying. They can't even afford cashiers. You know, they replace them with autonomy. But, I mean, regardless, the point is that things can change very rapidly. And Hunt the Front, with that social spaz, with that internet ability, has went a long way with what they got. And it is unfortunate. And obviously, that's an XR situation because XR's in with the Southern All-Stars. So competition breeds interest. And you got to schedule your right kind of races with the right kind of people. Southern All-Stars doing something special. I believe it's Southern All-Stars that is at Talladega Short Track. I'd have to look. Maybe it's Hunt the Front that's at Talladega Short Track. I don't know which one it is. But maybe that's the problem. I don't even know. I'm having to guess. I'm having to think. I think it's the Mike Duvall Memorial, actually, at Cherokee. So that's actually a Hunt the Front series event at actually, I want to look that up. Is it Hunt the Front? Somebody put in there. Is it Hunt the Front that's at Talladega right now? I honestly been looking at the Sprint Car Series thing, doing other work, like building some websites and stuff. If you need a website, let me know. Doing very cheap, doing very well. Let's see. Hunt the Front Facebook, I believe, is going to tell me they are at Talladega Short Track. Yes, they are at Talladega Short Track. Ashton Winger actually picking up the win last night. So, interesting how that is working out. But Hunt the Front shows you can make something happen overnight really fast. Let's see what Spike Fast Racing says. Late models can pick and choose because it's real men racing each other. Sprint car boy bands are the top 5 with the millionaire money. This is very true. There is not a lot of working class representatives, regular people who have had friends, you know, and a bunch of people were asking me this on the West Coast, and over the last couple of days, they're like, you know, if it's true, Chaz, what you say, and all these people are just that rich? Have they ever went to school? Do they have any friends? Are all of them homeschooled? Have they met people outside of late night bars? Like, have they met a girl that wasn't through the racing industry? Have they experienced real life? Are they regular? And I don't, for the top elites, especially the ones coming up with all the money, micros, midgets. I mean, if they went to college, how many college graduates or attendees are in the sport at all? Period. You know, I'm not a college graduate, but I had a lot of shit happen to me. It's by choice. It's not like they can't afford tuition. So, and I wouldn't be against limiting the age of racing. I don't think that a damn 16-year-old should be walking out of a sprint car or a super late model. I think when people are introduced to this sport, if they're sitting in them damn grandstands and they see a little kid jump out of a car, they lose respect for that vehicle immediately. But once again, 5 in a go-kart, 14 in a sprint car, 20 in cup, that was set up by a very interesting movie, and it created a movement in society because life imitates art. So anyway, that is going to do it. We are just past the 1 hour mark. Was going to do some call-ins. We may save that for another time. Would have liked to saw a super chat, but that sucks, and that's fine. We got a few things we could create out of this one video and hopefully get things out there. We do have some interesting content coming. I got some freaking sports cars coming. We got some freaking Scottie Pippen rookie card right here that I'm planning on getting rid of. But Joe gave me the freaking sports card bug, so we're gonna be doing some sports car videos. Potentially some more different travel styled videos, racing videos. Obviously, talking on here I think is going to be kicked up a little bit more. We could potentially be taking over the Loose Video Facebook page. Going to find that out by the end of tomorrow. If that happens, it's great. If it doesn't, that sucks. But hey, people make their own choices. I can't control them. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like the video, share the video, and as always, be sure to subscribe. Hats, shirts, everything you need on longlivethechaz.com. Also, membership tab. If you haven't clicked it, I think there's like a $2 deal. It really goes a long way to join the membership of the channel. Today is the final day of the month, so it'd be really cool if you could jump in on that. And also, we do have some music on deck. It is coming. It is coming, ladies and gentlemen. But anyways, until next time, we will have some things come about. And yes, Spike Fast Racing is still in the comment section talking. Sprint car fans are too cheap and love the poverty to give you a damn dollar. Do late model live videos and you'll make thousands. Selling the soul is real, ladies and gentlemen. Selling the soul, it's real. Catch you next time.
We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best or we can be the worst. We can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride, this is how